My name's Jodie Cook and I am from Birmingham, UK. I've been training for probably about 5 years and then I've been competing for 3.5 years. I actually got into powerlifting kind of by accident because I used to be a runner and I did half marathons and 10Ks. And then I realised I didn't actually like running that much and I should probably just not do it altogether. But while I was a runner, I picked up Paula Radcliffe's book, How to Run. And in it, she had loads of cross-training examples. So she'd say, go to the gym and do things like lateral raises and light squats and kind of little exercises with weights. So I started doing those. And then I remember going to the gym and I had an exercise which was to do like dumbbell presses with the 10 kilo dumbbells and looking at another lady who was across from me doing it with the 15s and I was like, oh my gosh, she's so strong. And I was just thinking I could never do that. But then eventually I got to the 15s and then kind of got to like lifting more and more. And then that's what led to me thinking I might kind of start competing and see if I can turn this into an actual sport that I compete in. So I competed 2 months ago in the English Championships and then I'm competing in the Powerlifting Commonwealth Championships, which is like the powerlifting's version of the Commonwealth Games. So there'll be people from all different nations there and it's in the middle of nowhere in Canada somewhere and it's on behalf of England this time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I really love training and I love competing and I guess like going to the gym, having it as part of my routine, something that I do like 3 or 4 times a week that helps me just switch off from everything else and just focus on like getting better and getting stronger. Because it's focused on the squat, the bench press and the deadlift, it's so linear, you're only working on one of those 3 exercises at any given time. And then I just enjoy it. I think I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it. If I stopped enjoying it, then I'd just choose another sport and find something else to do. And then because I'm always leading up to a competition, it feels like always having another goal in the future really helps to keep me motivated. I find focus quite difficult to attain. And so what really helps me is when I'm in the gym or when I'm kind of powerlifting, I have to just focus on that. So I'll put my phone on airplane mode. I'll just make sure that I'm focused on lifting because I've got, like I run a business and I write books, so I've got quite a lot going on outside the gym. So I have to make sure that when I'm there, I'm just focused on that and nothing else can like get into my brain space at all. I'm not like a kind of full-time powerlifter or even a part-time powerlifter, so it's very much a hobby. So when I'm in the gym focusing on it, I have to make sure that that is like focus time and it has to fit in with everything else. And I guess like if someone's got, I don't know, a family, other hobbies, they travel, they do lots of other stuff, then what I do like about powerlifting is it does fit in with all that stuff because you can just do it in a gym. I love competing. There's such fun days. So I guess beforehand it's kind of bigged up because it's like this massive day, but then really it's just a series of different events that you kind of go through. So you like turn up, you weigh in, you see everyone else you're going to be competing against. You do your kit check, you do like your rack heights, like all the kind of normal stuff, and then it's time to just warm up and then lift. So the actual day is really fun and you're just hanging out with powerlifters. It's kind of bigged up because you've got all the big bright lights and there's like film crews around and stuff. I think at regionals and at nationals, it's quite a different experience to internationals. So the first time I competed at an international, I remember just feeling like such a princess because you get like 2 coaches like all to yourself, you get your own squat rack and your own place to warm up, and it's a very different experience to like a regional or a national, but they're all really fun to do and you get to meet really cool people. And then the day is just an experience. I normally have so much caffeine and sugar that I can't get to sleep afterwards just because I'm like really excited. I think the sport of powerlifting is quite small, even though there are a lot of people that do it. You'll go to a competition and you'll see a lot of the same faces, so you get to know people quite well. And then it's a very supportive sport. So I competed once at the 4 Nations and I remember lifting and hearing people cheering me on in 4 different accents. And I don't think there are many other sports that you get that with, but I guess it's an individual sport, so you don't really feel like you're actually competing against other people. You're trying to do the best that you can do, and that's one of the reasons I really like it as well. So there's a sense of having a team, but a sense of focusing on your own game as well. And everyone just gets involved. So at a competition, you've got the people who are also competing, who will probably be watching people when they're on the platform as well. And then you've got all their kind of supporters. And then everyone will support everyone on the platform, no matter who they are. So when you're squatting, if you're kind of like struggling with it near the top, you'll hear, come on, just from everyone. And I'm sure it helps in some way, it must do. But you get a lot of like adrenaline, and you get a lot of kind of kicks out of hearing lots of people cheering you on. My favourite lift is the deadlift because I'm just best at it. I like it because there's no eccentric phase. So like with the bench press, you lower it down before you do the hard bit. With the squat, you lower it down before you do the hard bit. With the deadlift, you just go over there and pick it up and that's it. And I think it helps you just not big it up too much in your head, because you're just going up to lift it. So it's definitely my favourite one. My favourite achievement that I've personally achieved is I did a 180 kilo deadlift at my last competition, which was about 4 months ago. So I compete at 57 kilos. So it was a big milestone to get over triple body weight on the platform. I wasn't sure if I was going to get it, but it was really fun. And it was my third lift as well. So when I was pulling that weight, I was pulling it for the gold medal. And then the girl who actually came first had to pull a world record to beat me. So I was like, yeah, that's fine, I'll take it. And so I was really happy for her as well, because I wanted her to get it too. So I've never been happier with silver, and it was pretty much because of getting that deadlift, which was cool. So when you go to the world championships, the ones that you see that are world champions, are a real mixed group of people. And what I love is that lots of the women who are winning the world championships are masters lifters. So they're over 40, they've been lifting for a long time, and they've just been training consistently and focusing on adding weight to their lifts each and every year. And so I think what it takes to be a powerlifter at the highest level is just not giving up, just putting the work in, getting it into a habit, and consistently bettering yourself, lifting more in each and every single year, and then somewhere along the line you turn into a world champion. But I think that's quite inspirational to see, because it means that you're in it for the long game. It's a kind of a sport where you can have a long career in it. On a competitive level, there are sub-juniors, which I think is up to 18, and then there's juniors, which is 18 to 23, and then there's open, which is 24 to, 39, and then there's masters lifters, which are 40 plus, and even masters is split into M1, M2, M3. So there's probably an M7 or something that means 100-year-old lifters. But yeah, it's very inclusive, and there'll be separate championships for masters and juniors and open, but then you get a lot of the masters lifters who are really, really good competing in the open category against the younger lifters. So it's it's an inclusive sport, but I just love that you could keep going and you could be 45 winning the world championships. There just aren't many sports that would happen in. So many sports, there's a real kind of level where you wouldn't be able to compete at the highest level after it, but I don't think powerlifting is like that. I'm not sure when people reach their muscular peak, but some people just keep on going forever. How much I train a week depends on what I'm working on at any given time, but at the moment it's between 5 and 6 times a week, probably for between an hour and 2 hours at a time. But then sometimes it's between 3 and 4 times a week. It just depends really what I'm working on, but it's definitely not a full-time thing, and it probably takes about 12. The maximum it would take a week is 12 hours. To supplement my training, I will do variations of each lift. So, doing pause squats or pin squats or safety bar squats or front squats, or there's loads of different variations of the 3 main competition lifts that I'll do. And then apart from that, I guess regular kind of bro stuff, bodybuilder stuff. So triceps, biceps, abs. Just accessory movements that supplement each of the 3 lifts in any way. I'm probably quite guilty of not paying too much attention to my program until it's in my calendar on the day. But I do quite like doing the accessory lifts after all the main ones are done in a session. I think a lot of powerlifters who compete and who are on really good, who compete internationally, might be personal trainers, and so they might be spend more time training and also more time coaching others and just being immersed in the sport. But there are also loads of people who compete who have full-time jobs and kids and lots of other kind of commitments. So I think it's quite cool that it can work around someone being really busy. There was a summer where I was a bit injured, so I couldn't squat, so I just benched loads. And then my bench numbers went up, which was quite good. So I guess you just work around, like if you've got injuries or niggles or things that don't feel so good at any given time. I don't know if I've hit a plateau. I'm probably in a bit of a squat plateau right now. And then ways of working around it is just focus on it. Sometimes one of your 3 competition lifts might be slipping just because you're not focusing on it as much as the other 2, or because it's not your favourite. Like if you don't like doing something, then it's probably harder to improve because you're not looking forward to doing it. You're not feeling good about it all the time. So I try and reframe how I think about it in my head, and that helps with like getting out of plateaus. I think if there's an exercise that you're not feeling good about, there's something in it that you're just not doing right, probably. And so if it's the squat, there's probably something in like mobility or positioning or just like how you're cueing it in your head that just isn't right. So it's probably worth like speaking to a coach and getting them to take you through the whole thing, and then just feeling better about whichever part you've got a kind of niggle about. And then I guess that would help you enjoy it more because you could see it, you could kind of picture it more in your head. Whereas if you feel like you're just going to go and do a squat and then it's not going to go right, then you're never going to look forward to it. I really like traveling for a competition. What's hard is that there's certain things that you just want in place which you can't always guarantee if you're traveling. So like it's really important to be able to have a set of scales which are accurate on a level floor, and sometimes that's so hard to get. So I've been staying in a hotel room before and we've brought our own scales with us like on the plane, and then been like trying to find a level surface so that you can weigh yourself accurately, and that's quite hard. But normally because you're traveling with a team, they've thought about all that stuff before, so the organisers are always really good, and they always think about what a powerlifter might need so that they can provide for the whole team. So yeah, they're normally pretty good. My husband and I spend about 4 or 5 months of every year training and working from a different country. But how we do it is we choose the gym first. There are powerlifting bloggers, there are YouTubers who check out different gyms. So it's just a case of doing research, making sure they've got the kit that you want, making sure that they accept walk-ins or day passes, and then going and checking it out. I think people are normally really friendly and want to have you lifting at their gym. And then it enables you to just see loads of the world whilst also training at the same time. You don't really need that much to do actual powerlifting. You need a squat rack and you need a bar and you need some plates, and that's kind of it. It always helps having a level floor so you're not like wobbling around. But yeah, apart from that, pretty low maintenance really. The advice I would give to anyone thinking about becoming a powerlifter is go on the British Powerlifting website, look at the different regional federations that are set up and see when the next competition is, and then have a look at the results from years gone by, work out roughly how you would perform, and then set yourself a target, sign up, and then just go for it. Because even if you feel like you'd be miles off the numbers that anyone else is hitting, it doesn't really matter. I think what matters is getting the experience of your first competition in, and then going from there, and you'll probably get the bug and you'll probably become addicted to it, and then you'll want to do the next one and the next one after that, and then that's what will help you improve as well. Because like having the goals in the future will just mean that you commit to your training and you carry on going and you commit to improving your numbers too. Overall, it's a very inclusive community and there will always be someone ready to help. Before I went to my first competition, the lady who was running the federation invited me to her house, to her home gym, and talked me through it all. And she said, right, now show me your squat. Okay, we'll do this instead, and you need to wait for this call and this command, and yeah, taught me all the way through it. And that was it, set me up for the competition just perfect. And so it meant that when I was actually there on the day, I was really confident because I knew exactly how to do everything, and that's just the nature of the sport. People are very helpful. I think powerlifting as a sport has grown for girls so much recently. So if you look at the membership levels of British powerlifting, it's grown loads over the last 3 years, but a big part of that is women. And I think it's really cool to see loads of girls actually trying out powerlifting, because there's always this misconception that you like pick up a dumbbell and all of a sudden you're gonna like bulk up and you're gonna be massive and you won't be able to fit through doors and everything. But it's just not really like that. It helps you to be stronger and kind of, I guess, get more done and feel better and look better and eat more as well, which is obviously part of it. And I remember for me, when I was younger, I remember being in like the netball team photo at school and looking down and thinking, oh my God, my legs are huge compared to everyone else's. And at the time I was really embarrassed of that, and I always wanted them to be smaller. But I think the moment that you start thinking of your legs as quads rather than thighs, you start to see them for the functional, like strength-based purpose that they have, and not just for how they look. And I think that's a really healthy message to send out, especially to young girls who are thinking about getting into sport. I think if someone's in the stage where they know how to squat, they know how to do bench press, and they know how to deadlift, and they've got a plan in place of where they want to be with their numbers, I think just going on the British Powerlifting website and having a look at the ones coming up is kind of the place to be. The reason I started competing in the first place is because I met someone else who also competed, and so having that role model of someone who already did it, who it was normal for, just made me think, yeah, I could do that too. And I think don't be put off by the people who are already competing and what their numbers are, because I definitely remember looking at the results sheet and thinking, what? Like, how are they doing this? And just thinking that I'd never ever get there, that would never be possible. But then you kind of do, like you keep improving, and then you overtake the numbers that you thought you'd never achieve, and then you keep going from there, and then you have new role models ahead of you, and then you kind of aspire to their numbers, and then you just keep going from there. So it's definitely a sport of constant improvement, but the really good thing is, unless you get injured, you're in control of your own improvement. Like, it's up to you how much you want to train, or what you want to program, or what you want to aspire to. You're not going to be held back by another team member or anything like that. It's all within your control, so there just aren't any excuses, really. In my first competition, my total was 285 kilos across the 3 lifts, and then the last one I competed in, my total was 400 across the 3 lifts, so that's in like 3.5 years. So yeah, I guess you can improve quite a lot, and like I'm sort of in the top 20 in the UK, but there's like the ones who are 1, 2 and 3 who've got incredible numbers, who you look at and you're like, yep, I'm going to do this, like that'll be me next. And then you look at the people winning the world championships, and then you're like, yep, I'm going to do this, and you kind of keep aspiring to the next numbers. But I think it's quite important to look back and see what you were doing then, and what was your normal at the time, and what you were aspiring to, and then use that to give you the confidence that you can keep going and you will keep improving as well.
That's a wrap.